What's up, everybody? Welcome to MoneyBall. We got a very special guest here today, one that could probably knock you out with a 36-0 undefeated record, Baby Joe Mesi. Joe, thanks for coming on our show, man.
Thank you very much for being with
us. It's my pleasure, man. This will be fun. I'm happy to talk to you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. We are looking forward to it. I told Jay I'm going to start us out right away because I need to know. Do you still go by Baby Joe?
I was pumping gas earlier today, and a guy yelled across the parking lot, "Baby Joe." So I think for the community and people in the boxing world still refer to me as Baby Joe, and that's fine. If that's how people know me, so be it.
It's endearing, right? It's endearing. I mean, I was thinking, I wonder if this guy right now at this point, at this stage of his life, is sick of hearing that, Baby Joe, right?
I'm really not. It's kind of like in one ear. It's like, I guess it is what it is now. I wasn't thrilled about it. Like, listen, when I was, in my 20s and that was my nickname within the family. I was the baby.
I was just going to ask. I was going to say, how did you get this nickname? So thank you for that segue. Go ahead.
I was the baby of the family.
Okay.
And the short little chubby kid. And my grandparent, I was Baby Joe. Of all the cousins and nephews, I was the youngest, I was the chubby kid. Everyone pinched their cheek, and now I'm just still a chubby adult. But now that was Baby Joe. So, that's okay. It just resonated. And I didn't even hear it when I was a kid, when my family addressed me that way. But when I started boxing, I'm like, I'm turning professional. It was right after the 96 Olympics. I'm like, I need a crazy, awesome, ring name, man, and in the family, in the kitchen, they're like, it's Baby Joe.
Yeah, like,
no.
They said, you're not changing anything. Like, this is it.
Yeah. And I thought, it is what it is. I have more important things to worry about. And, it's stuck, and it is what it is. But, I don't mind.
I love it, and I always have loved it. I've been a fan of yours for a while. Tell me a little bit about, because you had mentioned 96 Olympics, right?
That's right.
How did you get started with boxing? I mean, was this something you did as a kid? Was it like, not many kids, especially, Buffalo kids, whatever, are boxers. I mean, it's
well, you started late in your career, right? You started later than most people.
Yeah, there was no there was no real intention here. I mean, I never grew up saying I want to be I was not even a real athletic kid.
Wow.
But going back, my grandfather, Tom Mesi, Buffalo cop, he was a boxer in the Golden Gloves back in the, we're talking 30s, 40s. Yep. My uncle, which would be my dad's brother, also a Golden Gloves boxer. Back then, mind you, when you were a Golden Gloves boxer, especially in Buffalo has rich boxing history. A lot of people don't know that. The Golden Gloves back then, in that era, you were a celebrity. I mean, it would sell out War Memorial Auditorium. Sell it out. Now, I attended the Golden Gloves a few weeks ago, and it was at, I think, Riverworks, and it was, it's sad, kind of in the sense for the sport that I love.
Yeah.
Buffalo has some good fighters, but we just don't have that oomph, and I think that's national.
It's
the
national.
Cities don't have that, but I mean, back then, boxing's been in my family in that sense. They had a short, brief pro career, but my brother and I growing up loved to read their clippings. They loved talking about it. So my older brother, Tom, who was the athlete and really just good at everything. I wasn't that guy. I wasn't, we loved hearing about it. And we were athletes. We were in the football team. I wrestled and I played baseball. I was never a star necessarily. I just played.
Right.
And then the boxing gloves were purchased, and my brother was just kicking my ass in the basement, so constantly. And we loved it. Whenever there was a major fight on, we always hosted. We were known as the boxing. We liked it. We just liked it. We never thought we'd do it. But it wasn't until after high school, I graduated Sweet Home in 91, that my dad one day, he was a Buffalo cop. He said, why don't you go to the police athletic league gym? It's free. You guys can beat each other's brains out. Stop, just stop it. And we're like, all right, we'll go. And it was an accident. So it was just a total accident, and I never stopped going. We went and we kind of loved it and didn't know that you can even have this resource to us as boxing coaches. And man, you get your little amateur boxing license from USA Boxing, and you can compete. And I lost some weight. I got into shape, and my brother was really good at everything, and I wasn't. And the focus and attention was really on him. But I think he would even tell you today, will easily admit, like, he couldn't keep up with like the workload. He just doesn't, he's not, work ethic isn't his thing, and I just kept going with it. I had to learn and train hard, and I didn't think it'd be a career. I just wanted to fight in the Golden Gloves, and I wanted to get a couple wins.
Kind of do what Grandpa did, kind of follow in the footsteps and see if
that's all.
Yeah.
But it snowballed. I got into my first Golden Gloves, and I beat guys I shouldn't have beat. I think they thought something might be there, and I got into the Empire State Games, and I knocked out Hasim Rahman, who was 2-time heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah.
How old are you at this time, Joe? How old are you?
Well, that was 93, right?
23? No, 93. No, it wasn't even 23. My God, it was 20.
Yeah.
21. Yeah. 20. Yeah.
Well, that had to be when the light bulb kind of went off for you. Like when you beat Rockman, like it was kind of like, man, I might be good at this type thing.
Not to think I'd have a career, because we didn't know Rockman was going to be heavyweight champion either.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't know who he was. But so when you win these state tournaments, it's interesting. You win a Golden Gloves or an Empire State Games, you get to go to a national tournament. Like they pay your way, and like I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting flown to Dallas and New Orleans, and I'm going to fight. And you fight in these amateur national tournaments, and they're difficult because you got to fight every night. Usually it's 5, it could be 6 fights every night, and you lose and you're disqualified. So I'm going to my first national tournament, thinking, I can't believe I'm getting to go to a national tournament. I'm going to get my ass kicked, come right home, but it's a free trip. I mean, this is great, And I go to these tournaments, and I think the best part of these was I didn't know any better, and I didn't know the guys I was getting in the ring with. I was so new to the game and the circuit. A lot of these guys apparently were pretty popular and had been around a few years. And they would just tell me, hey, put your headgear on. You're going to fight Alvin Manley. Okay.
Yeah, but no intimidation, right? No intimidation.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah.
And I won like every night. And then finally I'm in the finals, and I won a few tournaments. I was a finalist in a lot of these tournaments, and they're kind of like, it wasn't good. They were kind of like, who is this kid? We don't have any money or time invested in him. The Olympics is coming around the corner. Like, who is this kid? And I'm just quiet. Like, I don't know. So like, do you know who that was? I'm like, no, I don't even know who it is. So I was just kind of surprising people, and including myself, the kind of how well I was doing in the amateurs,
Sure.
And I got on the USA team, not the Olympic team yet. I was just representing the U.S. team. And a good friend of mine, a guy took me under his wing named DeVero Williamson, and who I ended up fighting at the arena. He was my buddy, and he was experienced. DeVero was a heavyweight. I was a super heavyweight. I'm new to the U.S. team. We're going to Germany. We're going to England. We fought the Russians in Portland. It was really fun. It was great. I was on this team, and I was never in Buffalo. I was traveling so much at that time, but I was new to it. And DeVero was such a great guy. He took me under his wing. We'd spar a lot. He was my sparring partner. He used to whoop my butt all the time, and just kind of showed me the ropes of how to be a traveling athlete.
That's awesome.
That's kind of how interesting it wraps up years later when DeVero and I met, and kind of one of the better nights of my career. So, but we could get there in a bit. So it just said, DeVero was my guy, and DeVero kind of led the way for me.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's really interesting path. And for a lack of a better word, naive, right? Like you're just kind of going and doing what they're telling you to do. You're a younger guy, and you're really not calling any shots. You're just, okay, I'll go here, I'll fly here, I'll go here. How do you even get on the U.S. team? You said you got on the U.S.
You
team.
win one of the national tournaments.
You win one of the nationals, and then they still have an option to put you on, though, or does that automatically put you on the team?
Well, you were an alternate, right?
I was an alternate to the '96 Olympic Games, which then, so I'm traveling as they'd have 24 guys, 12 weight classes, 24 guys in the U.S. team, not an alternate or team member. There were just 24 guys, 2 team members. So then it comes to the Olympics, and there'll be a U.S. team and an alternate team. I was an alternate in the '96 Olympics. That was interesting because now I'm starting to make a little name for myself in the amateur boxing world. I'm I wouldn't say a front runner for the Olympic run. We had to go to Oakland, and there's 8 spots per weight class, and these would all be national champions. You win one, you get a spot of the 8.
Sure.
And I was one of them. And I'm thinking these are the best guys, and a couple of these guys they're highly invested in, and I don't know how I'm going to make it, but it's just an honor to be in Oakland at the U.S. Olympic box office. And I made it to the finals. I won 6 fights, and it came down to Lawrence Claybay and I, another great guy. Lawrence Claybay was about 36 years old at the time. I was a kid. He was a man. I mean, and he was excellent. And he whooped me pretty good in the finals. So what happens is he's the winner of the Oakland U.S. trials, but we have to go now to Augusta, Georgia, whereas he only has to beat me once, and I have to beat him twice. So the 2 finalists, there's still one more match. There's still one more tournament to see who the Olympian's going to be. And this was a month later. You have a month to go home, rest up, heal up, train. We're going to Augusta. This is going to be on NBC.
Which really, boxing, right? A month is not a long time at all.
No, not after fighting 6 fights. And
yeah,
like,
the amount of fights so far that you've been. I mean, just night after night.
But at least I knew who I was going to draw.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now here I have to beat the best. I thought the world of Lawrence Claybay, and it's boxing his styles, and he was much more advanced than I was, and I don't know. I wasn't that optimistic, honestly, that I was going to beat this guy twice on Friday and Saturday night on national TV, and I don't know. And the first night came around, and I beat him so bad by point system. And here's my inexperience, and here's where his adultness came in. I was walking around that night going, I'm going to the Olympics. I'm the Olympian. I just whooped him so easily. And I didn't celebrate, but I was just like, I had so much confidence.
Yeah, you're on cloud 9 at that point.
Man, the next night he knocked me out in the first round on TV. Boy, I'm telling you.
On TV.
Yeah. My mother was alive at the time. She had all the news media, the local media was in my living room here in Tonawanda. I mean, that's the first time that's the first time I had been knocked down in sparring, but that's the first time like in a fight I've ever been knocked down, let alone I don't know where I was. He
knocked out first round.
Was pretty good. Yeah. And he deserved it, man. He's a great guy. So I ended up training with them as an alternate. You get to stick with them for like 3 months in preparation. You're preparing them for the Olympics. Basically, now I'm his sparring partner. Right. I mean, we traveled the world it was the best 90 days ever, man, because we got the suits, we got spoiled, and we're just the alternates. So like, I was in great shape. I was just training and hoping Lawrence got hurt, but he didn't. But it was just fun. I was like, thinking I was a kid, and like it was just a great experience. And after Atlanta, I had to come home and make a decision with my family and say it was this the end of my career? That was fun. I got way further than I ever thought. Here, right? What do we do now? And we literally had a meeting. Again, my mother was alive then. We literally sat at the kitchen table, I remember, and we're like, I could turn pro. I'm thinking the pro, like, geez, I'll be a pro boxer. Like, I'm gonna get killed. Like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And but anyway, the story. We agreed to it. I go, I'll do a couple fights. Let's just see what happened. I was getting phone calls. Don King. I went to Don King's house. I met with a lot of.
Well, that's one of my questions.
Yeah. Let's not go. Yeah. Let's go ahead.
No, I'm super interested in one thing I heard, and then that was Don King wrote you a blank check. Can you?
Yeah. We still got it. Yeah,
I still got it.
I still got it. I'm gonna forge it. But we went to his house a couple times.
Now what's that like, right? So you're not pro yet, right? And I think it's so cool that what you just said. You said you sat down as a family, right? Your mom, your dad, is your brother involved at this point,
Yeah.
right? And you
Yep.
guys you're having Sunday sauce, right? And you're talking about what am I going to do for my career? And the next thing you know, like as you're discussing it as a family, oh, Don King invites me to his house.
Yeah.
That's not normal, bro. That's
No, it's really not. It was a lot, there was no Zoom then, but it was a lot of phone conferences, man. I mean, Bob Arum and talking to guys, they thought, I'm the white guy and maybe we could invest a little money into him. All of the offers were, basically leave Buffalo
Right.
and come to their camps. All these guys, Bob Arum, they have a camp, and most of them in Vegas, some Cleveland, Lauderdale, like they're all over the country. They have these camps, and you got to go live there. And the one thing I had, not one thing, there's a couple things I had that are unique to professional boxers. Mind you, this is not a collegiate sport. This is a poor sport. And most of them are poor kids with skill and hard work and come from the ghetto. I'm unique in the sense I didn't, but there's no real organization like the NFL or NHL. There's no, this business is really run by promoters and the state athletic commissions. So, I mean, they'll throw a little money at you to entice you, but as soon as you don't serve them well, you're going to be kicked to the curb.
right,
And
right.
I do love this sport with all my heart, but I don't love the business.
Yeah.
And the one unique thing I had was, thank God, was parents. And of course, my father, Jack Mesi, my manager, my co-manager, Bob Spagnola, who's in Texas, my dear friend. And between my dad and Bob, they really were patient with me, invested in me, and went slow with me because they had to. And they didn't fall for the $1 million checks, the blank checks. They didn't fall for it. Sign this, and it was like a book. It looked like this, it was a book. And they had a check staple. It made noise when it dropped. He's like, just thumb through that and sign the check. And most fighters do. And I don't blame them.
And the book is everything, right? Like you need a lawyer going through that, right? I mean,
yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
And thank God you didn't, because I know Don King had a horrible reputation of, just screwing people over, not getting paid even close. And for the people that don't know Don King, he kind of looks like this is
that looks like his brother.
Yeah, this is one of my microphones. That's kind of was his hair back in the day.
But he's such a polarizing figure, though, right? And I think most people who will be watching this, they'll know who Don King is. And I'm sorry, I got to rewind again. You get to Don King's house, right? What's he say? Come on in and have a pop. I mean,
he's so flamboyant, and I've been in his company quite a bit. But he's coming up. You wait there in his huge house, and you hear him before you see him. Baby Joe. I mean, I know the routine. He had done that for several fighters his whole life. He'd come to my house, be WAD, be Baby Joe Mesi, the next heavyweight champion. And he's just going on and on. We stayed there a few days and went to his golf course and just had dinner. And he just tried to show me how elaborate he lives, and he did, and he does just that. But he said to my dad right away, we got to get him out of Buffalo. No heavyweight contender comes out of Buffalo, New York. It's just not going to happen. Got to come to my camps. My dad was like, that's not true. Joe can train anywhere. Mm-hmm. But our goal down the road is to bring boxing back to Buffalo. And, so that was part of our plan. Come to find out, my dad, who's just a Buffalo detective, but he's a very good marketer. Early on, right around that 96, I was getting a lot of press, and he was very smart. He put me out in the media here locally and made the people interested in what I was doing, And I think that it's funny, later on, as I gathered a few wins as a professional, I fought at ECC, and I fought in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Then I fought at UB. I fought at the Seneca Casino, which was Niagara Falls Convention Center twice. That was 6,000 and 7,500, then 10,000 at UB. And Don called us back. And he's like, listen, man, you need me. But we're like, no, our next fight's at the arena. We actually don't need you. We're doing it without you.
Yeah.
Now, how'd he take that?
Well, he kind of like you're too late. We don't. He's like, you need me. He wants in on it, but we don't.
Of course, he does. Yeah.
We that's what's unique about Buffalo, and I'm a really good prime example of the people here and what they represent and what they love, let alone our Bills and Sabres. Huge fan. But
sure,
if I were born and raised in Houston, if I were born and raised in LA, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Lauderdale, like I mentioned, would I have been 36-0? Maybe.
Right.
Would I have had 21,000 people come to my fights? Not a chance in hell.
Right.
Yep. I would have been a heavyweight contender that is now broke and washed up, and some promoter just was done with you. And but what city would attract 20,000 people to come to a boxing match? It's Buffalo. That's what Buffalo does.
They absolutely rallied around you. Again, just the name, Baby Joe was synonymous with where everybody wanted to be, right? You heard, you were going to be somewhere. And again, this is really before, you had some big fights, right? But you weren't at your pinnacle by any means, and it was that lead up to it. And you're right, just Buffalo's support. That had to be such a good feeling too, right? To have that support.
I think so. The amateur run gathered a lot of media. And that thing's quieted down because like my first 10 pro fights were really somewhat, they wanted to groom me. They were somewhat easy. But then I started getting a lot of ESPN fights. I got decent amount of TV coverage, Tuesday night fights, Friday night fights. So I started to get a little TV coverage, which I was real appreciative of. And the fight started just to start escalating in competition a little bit then. So we got a little more, press. And I think, having a guy that's, went to college and somewhat articulate. And I think there was a little, I don't think a lot of people believed in me necessarily, because I don't know if I even did really. I didn't know how far I was going to be able to take this.
Right.
But I learned a lot about myself. Boxing has taught me so much about myself that I didn't know, and it's not that I'm an athlete of any means. It's not that I'm strong or I'm a good student. I'm not a good coach. I'm a good student, but I work hard, and I had to. A lot of, and I do my talks in schools. I speak at schools locally, and I do some public speaking. And so many guys are more talented than me. My brother, for example, talent is it's actually meaningless. I fought 36 guys. More than half of them were stronger. More than half of them were more experienced. More than half of them were bigger. More than half of them should have beat me. But it's just that I worked hard. I really, really worked hard. I don't know if my wife was around that. I really worked hard. I tell her I really worked hard.
You did.
I know I'm lazy as hell today, but I worked hard.
We put an emphasis of people that we want to get on the show that are an example of that, right? The hardworking individuals, the walk on you guys, the guys, the underdog. A lot of the underdog story. And I don't know if you're so much an underdog story, right? But based on what you're telling us here I didn't know any of this about you, you're being modest because I'll tell you what, man, I watched you fight and I watched a lot of boxing back then. You kind of got, Tyson was the guy, right? Everybody had Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and everybody followed Mike Tyson, and everybody watched the Rocky movies, and especially in Buffalo, that wasn't a Vegas or a big showcase town. That was kind of the extent of it, I think, right? And you absolutely made boxing relevant in this area. Not only relevant, but then people just it was beyond relevant.
At one point it was the Bills, it was the Sabres, and it was Joe Mesi.
Baby Joe Mesi. Yeah.
That's really how it was. It was.
Joe, how'd you get linked up with Sugar Ray?
Sugar Ray was managing fighters, a little different than promoting. He started a promotional company with a guy They are no longer together. They're not friends anymore. But these two guys started to become promoters. Like, Tyson dabbled in promoting, and a few guys always dabble in promoting. And it didn't last real long, and it's a shame because Ray Leonard would have been a great promoter. He had a fallout with his partner. Nothing ever advanced after that. He didn't stick with it. He was the face, of course.
Yeah.
But the other gentleman, Bjorn Rebney, was the businessman. And he contacted me, and again, I went to his home in LA, and it's a shame that it was only a handful of fights because it was such a good partnership. We have a lot of similarities in our career. I learned so much from him.
Oh God, I mean, he kind of legend.
Man, I messaged him the other day. I said, we still are in somewhat of contact, and he looks great. He is great. He's such a good face, name, and legend of the sport. I mean, he's so wonderful. He's always great to be around. And his business manager, which is kind of aside the point, he was good. He knew the business and didn't like rob us or anything. But I could kind of tell it wasn't a relationship that was going to last with us and with them two, and it didn't. His business partner that he split up with, that gentleman, ended up screwing him over and kind of me a little bit, but ended up going into owning Bellator MMA. Wow. So he's the owner of the Bellator MMA. He's doing quite well.
Okay.
Sure is.
But so his road paid off. But Ray Leonard was just so great. He was just so great to be around. And that UB fight, I think that was his, and maybe one of the arena fights. So we did a handful of fights. And then with their breakup, it just kind of dissipated. And then I came with Tony Holden, who is still now, Tony Holden is the new Don King. He was my one promoter that was like family. He has like Jake Paul now, but when you see major fights on ESPN or pay-per-view, they're pretty much Tony Holden's fights. And he's a quality guy, quality promoter. And he and I might be bringing a professional boxing show to Buffalo, an ESPN show, in the next few months. And no one's heard that yet. So,
all right, there you go. Breaking news here.
Yeah, and that's absolutely amazing. It seems like it's a notorious sport for the shady characters. Refreshing to hear, obviously not only Sugar Ray Tony, there's some good people out there who genuinely just love the sport of boxing, right? And they want to see it showcased wherever they can. Or are we still just talking bottom line? We just want to bring in the dough.
Well, yeah, that's it. But there are people like Ray and like Tony and myself that want to do good. It's like running for office, which I have a little experience doing. You come in with good intention. You come in, but your surroundings it's incapable. I mean, you saw Lomachenko fought the other night. He got robbed. It's just as simple as that. Like, it was such a robbery it was so bad.
It was bad.
It's inexcusable that something else had to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Something else had to be going.
A light bulb goes off, and you're just like, I hear you.
This isn't a scoring. This isn't a running track and field where there's a clock or like there's a touchdown or like it's judges. And again, I'm an advocate for fighter safety. I love this sport. My poor wife has to fall asleep 3 nights a week watching it. I love it, but I don't have any involvement. I'm not involved in the business. I don't want to be. And people ask me daily, speaking of the gas station, if I'm not asked every day, where can my son train? You don't have a gym. Why are you not involved? What do you do? I love boxing. And I don't know where there's a space for me. I'm not better than boxing, but the business is difficult. It's challenging. And they didn't treat me that great during my injury. And they made a mockery and an example out of me. Again, not that I was trying to disobey anyone, but I just don't know. Again, there should be an organization that oversees this sport, like every other sport has.
There's no commissioner, right?
No,
there's really no blueprint. There's no Paul
Nevada and New York run it. All.
But they run it as a show. They run it as a Vegas show. Like I said, there's no Tagliabue. There's no.
And that's why boxing is basically overseas now. All the good fights, all the good promoters, they're in England and Germany and Saudi Arabia and those Frank Warrens and these great promoters out there, Amir Abdallah, and great for the money's out there. since the Klitschko's.
Yeah.
That's where all the money is.
Now you mentioned your injury, and you said they kind of screwed you over, and a lot of reports originally came out that Baby Joe's got bleeding on the brain, right? And that's not exactly accurate, right? What you had wasn't.
No, it's totally accurate.
It was. Okay.
Subdural hematoma.
Okay.
It made us look bad, especially seeing my managers, my father, my poor dad. It made him look bad. We cared about the injury, but when I got out of that ring against Vasily Jirov and I won, the ring doctor, this is a little confusing, but the ring doctor comes up to you, looks you in your eye, taps you on your butt, and says, "You're cleared." Okay. So I'm cleared from Nevada State Athletic Commission. I'm no longer their responsibility. Mind you, I go into the locker room. I don't remember a thing that week. I said I didn't feel good. I asked who won the fight. I asked who fought. I'm telling you right now that I didn't know where I was.
Wow.
I think I have memory from it, but I saw the video, so I don't really know if I have memory. But I'm talking to Harold Letterman in the ring, and I sound somewhat intelligent. So in the moment, you think, and I've done a little research on head injuries. In the moment, you think you're fine, but try to recall it, and you can't. So, I was dismissed by Nevada State Athletic Commission. So I come home a few days later. Believe me, I've had my bell rung. I've had concussions. I've been hurt before. Don't let the 36-0 record fool you. I've been knocked down a lot. I've been beat. I mean, my sparring sessions, I've had my ass handed to me.
Sure.
And I've been dazed a lot, but this was different. Okay. So I told my dad, we got to go to the doctor, and we did. They did imaging locally here. Basically, it's kind of a HIPAA violation. My report was accidentally sent back to Nevada, and it shouldn't have been. Whether it was or wasn't, no matter what the injury was, it should have been disclaimed because
you don't know how that happened.
Well, we do. We do know how it happened, but I was watching the Friday night fights in Teddy Atlas as I'm sitting recovering in my sense of days. This is about 2 weeks after the Jirov fight. And he goes, a heavyweight contender has a serious head injury. And I'm sitting there going, that's coincidental because I have one. He was talking about me.
Unbelievable.
And I'm like, what a coincidence, two of us. But he's like that's how dazed I was.
Wow,
like,
this is crazy.
Yeah. But they technically should not have known that, right?
It wasn't their business.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. And nonetheless, we're kind of arguing about kind of silly things now. But there is a rule. It's in the Muhammad Ali Act. Senator John McCain wrote this. He's a big boxing fan. I love the guy. God rest his soul. And you have a brain bleed, any type of bleed in the brain, you can't fight anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's a bad rule. But now that I'm a little bit in the medical industry, I'm by no means a physician, and I'm a little bit of an expert on head injuries. Mm-hmm. Every fighter at my level has had a subdural hematoma. I have news for you. I just got caught.
Really? See, that's interesting.
Subdural hematomas go away. The blood dissolves. Unless it's really bad and you need to have a craniotomy and have to have it sucked out. Since then, there have been fighters that have had brain bleeds and have gotten back into the ring. Huh. I'm not saying that's good or bad, but they certainly didn't do that with me.
Got back into the ring and went on to have careers, or yeah. Okay, and continued successfully.
Yeah, or died. A fighter died last week. I get all the updates. I mean, I track it. A handful of fighters have died this year already.
Really?
And I'm blessed. I don't want to confuse people. I'm blessed for how my career went.
Sure.
I'm not mad that I didn't get my world. I'm not a little mad I didn't get my world title fight, but I'm not going to sit here like as I'm disgruntled and angry that my career didn't go as planned. I'm totally blessed, and I wouldn't take back a day of it. And now that I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I don't care.
And let's put it this way: as far as planned, as far as planned, there was never too much planning to begin with, right? I mean, everything was kind of accidental, if you want to word it that way, to start, right? Up until the family dinner, up until the family talk. Right?
Yeah, we were lucky to be there, But now think about this: the family dinner in 1996 after the games, and now it's 2004, and I'm the number one heavyweight contender in the world, North American champion, fighting for a heavyweight title in 90 days. That's what I worked for. Win or lose, I know I was always pretty realistic in my career. I know who I could beat and who I couldn't, and I would have said it. And I wasn't Mike Tyson. I wasn't the greatest. I'll tell you what. I'm pretty certain I could have became heavyweight champion of the world. Just had that belt around me one fight. I'm pretty certain of that. I'm very confident.
Yeah.
And I certainly would have fought anybody. And just wanted to show, like Rocky, show what I got. If I get knocked out in the first round, I get knocked out. Like I want to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. I wanted to do it in Buffalo. I just couldn't believe I got that far. And that's the kind of thing about me. I noticed I wasn't the greatest fighter, but I wasn't afraid of anything or anyone. And I love getting hit. And if I get knocked down, I'm going to do everything I can to get back up. And that's the kind of stupidity in me. And that's what makes me a little different from some other fighters. But that's something I learned about myself, that I just enjoyed that part. I mean, in the Jirov fight, I should have just stayed down, but I don't know why I watched that video.
No,
I didn't. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah.
If I stayed down, they probably never would have known about my injury. And
Right.
I probably would have got my title fight. But that's just not in me. I don't know. I feel like I just would have loved to have had that opportunity. So, but I'm not regretful in any way. I'm just telling the story. And I think that,
and you don't sound bitter or regretful at all. And I'm a big karma guy. I'm a big, everything happens for a reason. You could look back and say that now, right? Now, obviously, when you're talking about a purse of the size of that fight, right, that was to come, I guess it's a little tougher pill to swallow. However, if you do look at it, as, hey, there's a plan for me, right? There's a plan for me, and this is you seem very happy, and you're not bitter in any regard, Jay might know.
Look at it this way. If that injury wasn't spotted, I didn't go to the doctor, or suppose I did go to the doctor, didn't do my due diligence, and Nevada never got that report, I was set to fight Mike Tyson probably 72 days later.
I was gonna ask you if that was.
I would have had to start sparring and preparing 1 week later. Now, when boxers really get hurt and die, they get the brain bleed, and they go home and begin training again, and nothing's healed up yet.
Right.
I would have had to start training right away. Whether it was Klitschko, Tyson, we were negotiating. It didn't matter who. I would have had to start training, and I don't know what would have happened. I'm very grateful everything happened the way it did, because if no one did find that report or that injury, again, I might not. Who knows? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I was kind of getting at that, a little bit, but
so I mean, I'm not complaining.
Now, Joe, you mentioned Rocky, and I think you were referring to the movies that we all know, but you also are close to another Rocky, Rocky Marciano's family. You're still in touch with them.
Yeah. When I fought in Madison Square Garden, they surprised me, and I think I was like, maybe 30 at the time, and they took me to dinner. It was the brother and the father, and
what a great
they have a restaurant. They have a restaurant in Mulberry, in Little Italy, and they're like, if anyone, they just like took me in. They were so great. They sold a contingency of tickets, and they were so excited for me. And like, they're like, if anyone's gonna I can break a record. He's 49. I'm 30. Like, you better slow down. But it was just kind of fun media. We had a lot of great pictures. They were at the press conference. It was me and Vitaly Klitschko was the main event, so he and I were kind of featured all week long. And just wonderful family and wonderful people. And I'm in touch with a few of them still. They're great.
And was he your idol? Like, was that the guy?
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, yeah. I mean, when you say who's your idol or who's your favorite or who you study, it just varies. Yeah. Certainly in the old day, Joe Louis and Rocky Marciano, as far as heavyweights go, are some of my favorites. And then later in the days, my idol is, of course, Muhammad Ali, and as everyone's is, for multiple reasons, not just boxing. Probably boxing is the least reason he's my favorite, just because of the human being he was. Yeah. But
amazing, man.
Evander Holyfield Evander Holyfield, more current day, would be someone I'd prefer to want to watch, study, or emulate. But I mean, there's so many. It just depends on the reason,
Yeah.
Now, I do have a question. During the whole process, during the career and going to all these different places, did you ever feel discriminated against? Did you ever feel that Great White Hope, right? Movie came out at the time, close to that. I don't know if you remember it, right?
I do.
But a sincere question, did you ever feel alienated or that you didn't belong, or were you always very welcome in the boxing communities?
I was pretty welcome. I have no terrible stories. I was never racially discriminated. I know the word Great White Hope was thrown out once or twice. Same thing with Tommy Morrison, who was a buddy of mine, and because Tony Holden promoted him and me.
You were a friend of his? You were a friend of Tommy?
Oh yeah. We trained together a little bit. Then he got sick, but
yeah,
there's a funny story about him later on.
I would love to hear a lot of stories about him. I'll be real honest.
But I was probably not taken seriously.
Yeah.
I just came across a picture of the 24 of us, the Olympic year. I was the only Caucasian guy. The 23 other guys were all African American and really good. David Reed, Fernando Vargas, Antonio Tarver, Clay Bay, DeVero Williamson. These guys were, but I just probably wasn't taken seriously, and I think it worked in my advantage.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I don't know, when I watch boxing and if I see my videos, I don't think I'm that great or that fast or that strong. But I'll tell you, after every one of my fights, my opponents, the gentlemen that they are, would come in my locker room and say, I just never expected you to come at me like that.
You surprised the hell out of them. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know you were that fast, or I didn't know you were so, and I never saw it myself. But so I think it was an advantage to me that maybe I just wasn't. Not that they didn't think I was good or strong. They just probably thought, like DeVero thought, oh my God, Joe Mesi, I would happily come to Buffalo and fight Joe Mesi. He must have jumped on a plane and I thought to myself, it's funny how this works. It's funny how this works. Boxing's a lot of great boxers out there, but 90% of them never change. Their styles never change. They don't learn. They're just good. They're never different. That's advantageous to a guy like Mike Tyson because he's not stoppable in a lot of ways. Holyfield, but a lot of guys don't learn. I was different. When I started, I didn't know much. You didn't have to teach me toughness and work ethic, but you had to teach me the boxing part. My trainer,
fundamentals.
Juan De Leon, who's got some world champions now, he and his brother trained me, and they're in Puerto Rico. They got world champions. I think they're the best trainers in the world because he, from the ground up, he created it. And, to inherit a world champion and make him good is one thing, but to create one, I had to learn everything. So I think when I agreed to fight DeVero, I said, oh my God, this is going to be great. I was pretty confident. So I'm thinking, he's thinking Joe Mesi, 1997.
Yeah.
But it's 2004. And I'm not the same fighter, but I know he's the exact same fighter that he was in 1997. Still good. But most fighters don't change.
Yeah, that's a really, really interesting.
They really don't.
Yeah.
And I'm stylistically, I know I'm a student of the game. I really am. I know I'm pretty adaptable. Again, not a great fighter. I'm pretty adaptable, but I know what styles I'm better against and what styles I'm not.
Sure.
Better against.
Would you take fights based on that?
I'd try to. I certainly didn't like Jiroff. He's left-handed.
Yeah.
I was never, ever experienced enough. I fought like 3 southpaws. I've had 100 amateur fights and 36 pro fights. Maybe 3 southpaws.
Really? Yeah.
One of them being Jiroff, and I hated that.
Yeah.
I was so worked up over it. I made more of it than it is, but it's just damn near impossible unless you're like Mayweather. You have so much experience facing a southpaw, and it's nothing to them. But
that speed to block them, right?
It's terrible. I have nightmares about it. Honestly, I don't even know how to defend it. It's so confusing to me. But Jiroff,
they have a big advantage in sports. You know, the pitching,
and everything,
the batting,
and everything. You're absolutely right. They have
right?
an advantage.
I have 3 little boys. I have a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, 3-year-old, and I was just praying one of them was going to be a southpaw, right? So I could try to get that. And hey, I'd be okay with a relief pitcher. He doesn't need to.
That'd be fine.
You know.
Go hold the bottom.
Back to Jiroff. Like Jiroff, I got ridiculed. He got beat by a cruiserweight. Well, listen, the guy walks around 220 pounds, cruiserweight or not. In 1996, he won a gold medal, and he won the best boxer of the Olympics that year. That's how impressive he was in 1996. Not Klitschko. He won the best boxer award of the Olympics. That's how good he was.
Yeah,
he became cruiserweight. He became an undisputed cruiserweight champion, like 17 pro fights. No one becomes champion in 17 fights.
Right,
He's probably, other than Holyfield, who people forget was a cruiserweight, is the best cruiserweight in history. He's a pure animal. When I mean animal, if you read about how he trained in his Ukraine and Russia day, like they would put him out on a boat like 7 miles away, not swim next to him. They'd leave him.
Yeah.
I mean, he used to fight animals. Like he's a pure. I think I'm tough. He'll die. He's an animal. Yeah. And respectively. And I love the guy. We've been around each other since then. He's the toughest son of a bitch I fought, you know? Yeah. I mean, and people say, well, he's only 218 pounds. Like, so what? Tough 218 or tough 238. What's the difference? You know?
And there's no question they train a little differently over there, right?
They definitely do.
You know, it's not even, it's way over a pride thing. This is like, listen, you know, there's no option. Losing's not an option, right?
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
What do you think? I have a couple more questions for you, and sure. I don't know, Jay, but boxing obviously the popularity is not what it was, right? I mean, for a long time it was on the decline. I think it's back up a little bit now, but for a long time it was on the decline. It's almost like I guess the best analogy I have would be Tiger Woods with golf, right? Where just everyone. People who didn't even know anything about boxing, everybody wanted to watch a Tyson fight. Or in the Buffalo area, everybody wanted to watch a Baby Joe Mesi fight, right? You know, and you could say the same golf with Tiger Woods. UFC now, right, has become, I think, far more popular. I love boxing, right? I've always loved the strategy of boxing. And, you know, nothing against UFC fighters. These guys train. I mean, a lot of these guys are overseas as well, right?
I agree.
What is your take on UFC versus boxing, and where do you see boxing as it lies right now, and where do you see the future of
it? I don't think it's going to go away. But, you know, in the last 10 years, I'm not to say there's not some great fighters. Mayweather's the greatest ever, but we don't have any true stars. You know, when, you know, you got a division, let's just use the heavyweights, or Holyfield, Tyson, Lennox Lewis, Klitschko, we're just overlapping each other. Like there's a plethora of options. God forbid you go back to the 70s and early 80s, the top 10 guys would have all killed me. You know, thank God I wasn't a heavyweight during that, you know? So, I mean, all 10, Ken Norton,
there were so many of them. There were so many of them.
True stars. Like it ended at De La Hoya, like when he had like stars, couple stars in each weight division.
Right.
Today, Canelo, I can't name a Lomachenko, a little guy. Can't name a lot of them.
But they don't have even those guys. They don't have the star power though. Not even near. You know what?
It's a little bit.
Muhammad Ali, Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier. You know.
True. It's a little bit. Now I'll watch any boxing, but not everybody will. You know, so it lacks people that draw, and a few stars, and then. You know, then HBO Boxing After Dark went off the air, and that was the best boxing. I mean, Showtime boxing is very limited. Mm-hmm. ESPN is now the home. Maybe once a month they'll do it's a really it's a really nice show. That's why I'm hoping they come to Buffalo. But it's really nice and well done. But it's all there is as far as televised boxing. Mm-hmm. And then you got to go to DAZN or get the apps, and it's not as easily accessible. Whereas Dana White, man, he's the best promoter. I mean, he's right behind Vince McMahon as best promoter in the world. Vince McMahon's the best promoter in the world.
Yeah.
But I think he's doing a great job. He's done a great job marketing it. It's exciting.
What do you think of the product? What do you think of the product?
I like it. I'm not a fan. Meaning, I don't really know who's who. I don't even know who the heavyweight champion is right now, but I'll watch it. If my brother-in-law and his friends want to come over, I don't go out of my way for it. I don't order them kind of like I would boxing, but it's exciting and I respect it. And they've done a great job with it. I fear the same thing, the same pattern will take place. No knock to the CEO, what's his name? I forgot. But I don't think they take care of those fighters very good. I don't think the fighters are well taken care of, and they're getting paid great, but it's exciting, and I respect the sport.
Didn't they just buy the WWE or something?
Yeah, I think they're.
Right?
I don't even understand. I don't even really understand that
bought
partnership. Yeah, I don't understand that partnership, but I mean they're doing something right.
Sure.
I mean it's everywhere, and you got options, different ways to watch it. It's on weeknights. It's on. I mean it's everywhere. So I respect the sport. I like it. Boxing just isn't as plentiful. And again, the good boxing, it's overseas.
Yeah.
UFC's happening right here.
We touched on
same
it.
athletic commissions run it, and I had a little part. I mean, it wasn't legal in New York State years ago. Do you remember when they had the first one?
Right. I remember that. It wasn't for a long time actually. They had to do it was all in Vegas and
New York's always last. It always will be.
Of course, yeah.
So, but I remember speaking to a lot of people. I ran for office, remember, and I was like, listen, I think I support it. New York's got to wake up. Whether I'm a fan or not, they're missing the boat. They had one show here. They sold out the arena. I mean, it's incredible. So, I mean, it's something different. And they go, well, it's dangerous. I go, it's not. It's safer than boxing, and no one's died in the MMA, but so far 5 boxers died this year. So more violent, maybe, but violence and safety are not the same thing.
Yeah.
So violence, people are dying in boxing. No one dies in the MMA.
I mean, if you're going to talk about safety and getting hurt in sports, I mean, look at the NFL, right? Look at the NHL. I mean, every sport has an element of danger and concussions and hits and CTE. And, I think anyone who argues that, I think they see it as more violent with, somebody doing a triple judo kick to the head. And it's definitely more of a raw.
More aggressive.
Yeah, just kind of go after each other type thing. But
right.
Now, Joe, I know we're getting close to your bedtime.
and mine.
This is fun. I'm gonna stay up late tonight.
Now, did you want to do 6 questions?
Yeah, we're gonna do so.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a new segment. It's a little rapid fire. We call it 6 questions.
We kind of put you on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So who wants to go
heads
first?
up?
Jay's gonna go first. He's gonna hit you with a rapid fire. The whole idea, actually, Patty Coletta, we started with the idea, and then it became 6 seconds. Because it seemed like everything's got to relate to a 3, 6, or a 6 with him, right? So
he's getting married in a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah. He was. Hopefully, you watched our episode, but yeah,
I did. Then I text messaged him. I'm like, you look like shit.
Yeah, your buddy.
Yeah, I like it. You got to razz him.
Now you're buddies with Coletta, right?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, so my first question of rapid fire it has to do with Coletta. Okay.
Oh no.
So, what was more surprising to you? Tyson biting off Holyfield's ear, or Patrick Coletta's Lego collection?
Definitely Coletta's Lego collection.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Not surprised by anything that Mike Tyson does.
Right.
Yeah. That's easy. That's easy.
All right.
Yeah.
I see so much of Tyson everywhere now doing the interviews where he just, you see him when you're scrolling and he's just staring at somebody and they're staring back at it. And they're so bizarre. I don't even know what they're doing. He had Eminem.
Do you want to know something? I always admired Mike for his boxing skill. And now that in the most recent years, and I'm talking the last handful of years, where he's really come together as a human being.
Yeah.
I think his wife has something to do with that. His children, his new business ventures, where he has kind of put boxing and his animalistic styles behind him, whether it's therapy or medication or marijuana, I don't know.
Right.
But my wife and I have been in his presence a few times in Las Vegas, and he is wonderful. And if you watch his podcast, he's slowly becoming.
Yeah, it's excellent. Yeah.
I'll never put him up against Muhammad Ali, but because not culturally or sociologically that efficient, but like he's got great wisdom. He's very well read, and now that he's calm and he's incredibly wise, I want to hug him. And he was so great when we ran into each other in Vegas. He's just always, he's so wonderful. He's such a good person. And when you look at his upbringing, it's if you think you know what bad is, it's awful. And I mean, he's got reason to be the way he is, but I mean, in recent years, he's just, I'm so pleasantly surprised that he is the way he is.
And you're happy for him. You have a true happiness for him.
I am so happy for him. Now think about 2004, after the Jirov fight, I was offered Klitschko. And I said, okay, awesome, let's do it. They go, you got to go to Germany. And I don't want to go to Germany. I want him to come to Buffalo. And they're like,
I love that. I love that. You just keep going back to it. And I love it.
They're going to, I mean, he's going to kick my ass. Let him do it here. Like, I mean, what am I going to go there for and come back and then taxes? I come back with like 40% of my purse. And like, it doesn't even make sense. And then they go, well, listen, they go, what about Mike Tyson? I go, well, I want to fight for the world title, but they go, well, if you're going to fight Mike, it's going to be for a lot more than the world title. I go, then screw the title. And I was like, so keep in mind, 2004 Hangover filming, Mike was 300 pounds. Mike had just recently lost a handful of fights. He was not like he is now. He's mentally with it. You saw his exhibition fight. That's not the Mike you really want to mess with. He's mentally sound right now. But 2004 Mike, when I agreed to it, like he was desperate for money. Now he's doing really well with his money and businesses. He was really desperate for money. He was overweight. He had already lost a handful of guys that I had beaten sparring. And I'm like, he's going to come to Buffalo and we're going to split this. And it just made more sense. And I'm not saying he couldn't knock me to the third row. Of course he could, but it just made more sense. The point of that is that Mike is gone.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy. Yeah. I'm just so happy. I enjoy watching him. I'll watch anything he says.
And
me too.
When he came to Buffalo a few years back, the Statler to do to do a meet and greet.
We had lunch together. Yeah, it was great.
And it was, honest to God, out of all the athletes I've ever met, it was the best experience I've ever had. He couldn't have been nicer, more genuine. Just thankful. He was thanking me for coming to see him. And it was a really, really amazing experience. And to this day, he's my most favorite athlete that I've ever. I mean, besides you, of course. But
of course,
my favorite athlete.
He really is a good person, man.
Yeah.
Man, my wife and I are always sharing videos of like everything he says, whether it's just funny or a lot of it's wise. And sometimes the higher he is, the wiser he is. I don't even know.
Right.
The mushrooms work, man.
Hey, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
I'm
going to fire rapid number 2 at you.
Good.
Because we kind of get off subject, but this is all good stuff. I mean, you really are a good conversation. I really enjoy it.
Good.
Just straight up, best fighter or hardest punch you've ever taken?
Oh,
where you were just like, wow, that guy.
That's a guy you probably never heard of. It was a ESPN 8-round fight. And I'll think of his name. But I'm supposed to go win. It's an undercard on television. It was an 8-round fight, and just kind of bigger, heavier, fat guy. It went 2 rounds, and I killed him. But it doesn't matter. Yeah. He hit me in the first round, and I remember it made a noise. I'm telling you, something broke in my face. I'm not kidding. I heard a noise. I'm telling you, I heard a bad noise that I never heard before. And I can't believe I didn't go down. I cannot believe it. I might have, because I don't know. But I went back to the corner. I go, Juan, what's wrong with my face? And he's going, nothing. Stop. I go, something's wrong. Something's there. It's broken or something. I don't know. Like, and he's like, no,
you knew.
Wow.
He fractured my orbital bone. And I saw the x-ray. It's a crack from like under the eye down here. It didn't require any surgery, but that couple weeks, facial pain is the worst pain you could possibly have. You know, a toothache, the pain is so enhanced in your face.
The nerves, yep.
It hurt so bad. I don't remember having pain like that ever in my life.
Oh my!
And I told the guy after, I go, you broke my face. You broke my face. I mean, people say you broke my face. He broke my face. It hurt that bad. Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's a great answer. That's a great answer that no one would know.
If I touch it just right, it hurts. Wow. The guy broke it 20 years later. It broke my face.
Still to this day. Jay, you're up.
All right, I'm up. All right. So it's kind of almost similar to your question. And I think everybody would agree Muhammad Ali is the greatest of all time. I'd like to think that. Who would you put at number 2, or would you put anybody ahead of him?
I'll never put anybody ahead of Muhammad Ali for any reason. I'm going to steal a quote from George Foreman because I just took my nephew to see the movie. George is great. And he said at the end of the movie, it was like the credits were going up, and he was on one of the Tonight shows recently promoting his movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he has the best line ever. And, of course, Muhammad Ali knocked him out. And he was saying, when I fought Ali, I wanted to kill him. He was trying to win a boxing match, and I was trying to kill him. And for the first 6 rounds, I did kill him. I gave him everything I had. And at the end of the 6th round, he whispered in my ear, he says, "Is that all you got, George?" And he knocked me out a minute later. And he says, when people say the word GOAT and they're talking about Tom Brady and Wayne Gretzky and all these people, I'm insulted, he said. Wow. There's one GOAT. He says, except my Lord and Savior. And that's Muhammad Ali. Wow. Don't disrespect the word GOAT. There's one GOAT and one athlete that transcends sports. And Tom Brady and those guys don't do that. They don't transcend. He says, these other guys, and when you talk about baseball, and he says, there's one GOAT. And that's the kind of respect I have for Muhammad Ali. It has nothing to do with what he did in the ring.
Right.
It's the type of human being he was, and what he did for not boxing, for sports. Athletes get paid today because of what he did. Yeah. And that's the reason. And there's one GOAT, and I'll steal the George Foreman. There's only one. But you come to a more modern era. I'm a huge De La Hoya fan. He got a lot of ridicule, but and you look at his career, he fought everyone that they asked him to fight. Mm-hmm. At win or lose, he lost a handful. He fought he retired. Even Mayweather, there's a couple people, and he's the best.
Long careers too.
I do. I think Mayweather's the best ability-wise ever. But there's still some. They're like, well, we didn't fight him at this time. You missed that guy. He fought everyone he was asked to fight.
Yeah.
And he's always been such a gentleman and really good to me. And it's not about the record. Man, he was in an era that was very tough.
Yeah.
All
right, number four, Joe.
Do it.
You can have dinner with, other than Jay and I, 2 other celebrities, anyone, past, present, whoever you want. Who are you going to dinner with?
Past, present. I mean, we brought up Ali because he's so.
Can't use Ali.
Okay. I'm going to tell you a story.
Petty White.
Did you see Martha Stewart on the cover of
I saw. Yeah, man, I was a little confused. Listen, she was all right, but I was a little confused.
I don't know what I thought. I thought some weird things.
She said she didn't have a card for 3 months or something like that.
I don't know, man.
Hey, she's got us all talking about her.
It works.
Let me tell you something of things that happened to me. Here's one of the highlights of my career. People think, what, you ran the Olympic torch, you fought at Mandalay. You met so many people. I got invited to a black tie professional boxing show in Oklahoma by the promoter. Joe, would you come be the guest? I'm like, yeah, I'll come be the guest. Little did I know, I go there. The other 2 guests were Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe. Now, they had probably the best heavyweight trilogy, other than, if I'm going to watch a heavyweight trilogy, Frazier and Ali, that one is incredible. And I didn't know this, but Jimmy Buffer was Michael Buffer was the ring announcer.
Mm-hmm.
So the promoter goes, "We're going to go upstairs now and have dinner. It's just us." And so it was Michael Buffer, Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, and me. And they had a little room, and they're friends, obviously. But
that's a great dinner right there, by the way.
Michael Buffer looks at me, and these guys were in a friendly way bickering about the fight, about details no one's ever known publicly. And he's like, "Yeah, but you were hitting me low blow for a second. It got like hot, but they're buddies. They hugged out. Like it was like," and he's like, "You sent me a birthday cake the day before the fight because you know I'd eat it." And he sent him a birthday, like little things like I love hearing those stories. And like I sat there, and Michael Buffer's going, "Joe," he's like, "Sit and enjoy this." He goes, "I've been around a lot of this is one of the best things I've ever seen." We were up there for an hour and a half, and we didn't say a word. Michael Buffer and I. And these guys were just talking about their trilogy and preparation and Days in the Amateurs and how they came up together and how the low blows and the guy that came down in the parachute in the fight and landed in the ring and they had to stop it. And like it was the best. I had this dinner and I couldn't believe that I was just sitting there. Why I was so lucky.
So not only did you answer the question, but you may have already had, right?
I might have.
Right? I think you actually had the dinner.
I never thought that would ever happen. So that's really the highlight, one of my highlights of career. So that's my answer for my dinner.
Okay, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
You got 5, I got 6.
All right, here we go. So I'm sure over the years
I asked Jay the same question. He did say Betty White, and then who played Urkel?
And Martha
Jaleel White.
Jaleel White, yeah. So I'm sure over the years you've gotten a few pieces of memorabilia. So I want to know, what is your favorite piece of memorabilia you have in your collection? Like, he's looking.
I don't know. I'm in my office, but like, caught me off guard with that one. I have autographed gloves from just about everybody, but I don't like autographs. I like photos with people.
Yeah,
I would never go up to somebody, and especially through the years, people have done it to me and ask for a signature. It doesn't make sense to me. Although I have a million of them.
Yeah.
I want a photo with that person, I have photos. I have photos with you'd be surprised. I've spent evenings at the Playboy Mansion. I was a guest there.
Oh boy, this is not a long enough meeting. I'll tell you that from the jump.
But what's funny about the Giroff fight, the little I do remember, I think it was like the 4th round. I'm getting my ass kicked in the corner. And I remember, I swear to God, I didn't know. A couple of celebrities came in and said hello to me before the fight. There's a ton of celebrities at Mandalay Bay. And I remember looking down and I saw Sylvester Stallone sitting next to Magic Johnson and Woody Harrelson. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of a fight. I almost want to grab Giroff. I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
I just made out
right.
And I was like, that's so cool. I can't believe those 3 guys. What a random 3. Why are they sitting there? And in the middle of the fight, I saw that and thought that. Silly.
How about this, Joe? They were there to see you.
I know. That's so crazy.
Right?
That's so crazy. But I don't know. I think I cherish, and I had my photographer years ago frame all of my pictures, Hugh Hefner and all of the great people I've gotten to meet. But and I sat on the stage the year that Stallone and Tyson got inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame. Awesome. I was on the dais in Canastota, but I was just a guest. But I think just meeting, I've met 3 presidents. So, I met, Trump and Bush's, but the 4, Obama and the 2 Bushes. So I got pictures with all of them. So, just some chubby little Tonawanda guy to meet 4 presidents, is pretty kind of cool too. So those are the things I cherish. Probably my president. Oh, Clinton. I met Clinton.
All right, I'm gonna hit you with number 6. I gotta ask this. It's just my traditional question: drums or wings?
I'm a drum guy.
Okay, thank you. First one so far to answer drum. Yeah. You know that. First one.
I'm not biased to any type of wing.
You'll eat it.
I don't care if it doesn't look like it's edible. I'd probably eat it. But,
what about the ones with the feathers on them still?
No, I don't like those. But
once in a while you'll catch a raw. It's or one of the little midget wings.
Yeah, I don't know.
right?
But look, we live.
nugs.
One of my closest friends in the world is John Bona of Amherst Ale House, so I have to give him a shout out. And
There you
he and I
go.
are very
Yeah.
tight, and he does probably have. He's definitely top 5 wings in Western New York. So
They're great.
that's
Okay.
why I look the way I do. But
We just talked to Damone, and we were talking about Elmo's, which I love
Elmo's.
Elmo's, right?
Elmo's is excellent. Yeah,
But I got to try this place out.
Oh yeah, right
9/11. Have you tried 9/11?
Oh, 9/11, phenomenal.
Excellent wings.
Really hard to get down. Really hard to get in there though, and really, right?
It's hard to get it. They don't let you take. They don't let you to order to go.
No,
Like,
no. They want you sitting down. They want you to wait 1 hour for your wings to come out.
Yeah, I don't
It's worth
understand.
it.
Yeah, I don't understand, but they know what they're doing though.
Listen, Joe, this was absolutely phenomenal. Getting to know you a little bit, other than a handshake and hey, asking for an autograph back in the day, hearing some of your stories, and you're such a real guy. You're a humble guy. You're very real. Again, right off the bat, as soon as we started, when you told me that family story, it really hit home with me as far as, wow, man, this is just a really good dude. And I know you said you don't want to get in, to the boxing, whatever. I'm telling you right now, because that light bulb went over my head when you said it. A Baby Joe boxing facility in Buffalo. I mean, listen, I'm not, you mentioned it earlier, but that would, right? I mean, that'd be absolutely amazing. And I think that would help bring boxing, make it relevant again. And your name, I think you know this, but if you don't, I'm going to say it again. Your name carries so much weight, and you're an honorable man. And I love what you've done for Buffalo. I truly do. And I think
I've thought about
like that, man, would just be killer.
I'll answer that. I'm not saying sometimes I don't question. I never in any way capitalized on my name. Maybe I'm stupid in a business sense. Probably because I kind of wanted to just not in a mean way, but turn my back on the sport a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this sounds like almost egotistical. I have more to offer in this world. Boxing, I'll never forget, and it made me the adult I am today and gave me a nice foundation to my life.
Sure.
But it's not what I hang my hat on. It's not going to. I have more to do and accomplish with my wife and children and my career. Now I sell medical devices, and I'm one of the few former professional boxers in the world that actually made it in the corporate world. And but do I sometimes scratch my head and think maybe it's time for me to get involved? I'm talking about maybe promoting not be Don King, but promote a show or two here. I care about two things.
The ESPN thing and the Baby Joe Academy or whatever.
I do. I care about two things. I care about Western New York and I care about boxing. Those are my two loves, other than my family. So to say never, I would. If I did something like that, a facility, it wouldn't be to train boxers. It would be to give kids something to do, get them off the street, have families trained. I don't want to train boxers. First of all, I'd be a terrible coach. I'd like to be around it and get people involved in it for fitness and let them experience, the beauty of the sport. But I wouldn't be a good trainer. But I never say never.
When that door opens up, your first sponsorship, your first partnership is MoneyBall. So we are ready.
And speaking of that, Joe, is there anything that you're involved in that
you'd like to promote
that we can mention?
Look, I am in the midst of kind of my wife calls it a reinventing. And as we just talked about, it's been years and I've been absent from the sport. I too am in talks and negotiations of maybe starting a podcast, Comeback Chronicles, not boxing, not necessarily sports. I love stories about how people rebound and get back. I don't care if it's business school, what have you. And that's kind of the theme behind what I want to talk about and expose.
Love that idea.
I love the stories of people sometimes even having to reinvent themselves, because I've had to do that myself. People look at me as Baby Joe, but I'm a salesman and I'm a family man. And, I'm trying to reinvent myself now. I'm always trying to reinvent myself and for whatever business reasons but I love the comeback story. And so I'm thinking about doing something like that. I'm thinking about promoting boxing. I'm thinking about getting my foot back in the ring. I love doing ringside commentary. That's a little few and far between. But I'm just about ready, especially after talking to you guys, dipping my toe back in.
You got the Midas touch, Joe. Anything
Yeah.
you're involved in is going to be successful. I mean, it's
Who
that
knows? If I
Midas
lose
touch.
30 pounds, maybe I'll make a comeback.
We gave we gave him the itch, you know.
Yeah,
He
man.
did. Actually, he did.
Glad
So,
we inspired you.
yeah. But I'm on the board of the police athletic league. I love doing things to kids. I love speaking at schools. I will always give back to this community because it gave me that great gift. And I love being involved in this community. That's why I kind of, I thought I was going to run for office. That wasn't right at the time, but I just love being a part of Western New York. So anything anyone ever needs, they can contact me. They know how to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Yeah,
Awesome.
and it's what he says is true. We asked you to do this, and
I love doing this.
You instantly said yes. There wasn't anything other than yes. Was so. Again, we appreciate it. We thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
you guys are great.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you.